The Tech It Up Talk podcast aspires to educate, inform, and inspire educators from teachers to school leaders on tips, tools, and resources to support the integration of technology into classroom instruction.
You ready? Here we go.
You're listening to Tech It Up Talk with Dr. Mac, your host with the most passion for supporting educators from teachers to school leaders with the integration of technology. Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting innovations in education, and that is gamification and immersive technology. These tools are redefining engagement, motivation, and learning experiences in classrooms across the world. And so, joining me today is another contributing author of Get Your Tech Together, Miss Tasha Henderson, who is an expert in educational technology and a contributing author, of course, to our book that was just released this year, Get Your Tech Together, Rethinking School Culture in a Digital Age. Her chapter on leading the charge, transforming education through gamification and AR, VR integration, really explores cutting edge tools that can really revolutionize teaching and learning. So I want to welcome Tasha to the Tech It Up Talk podcast.
Good evening, Dr. Mac, and everyone out there in the internet world.
I was so glad to have you here today. Just share with us a bit about your journey into education and what inspired you to write about gamification and AR.
Well, starting off pretty much, I majored in engineering in undergrad and quickly moved into IT. Information technology. I spent 10 years or so in the field of IT. So I was a senior Oracle database administrator for those years. And then I did a pivot and decided to go into using my STEM background into education. And from there, I pretty much taught classes, engineering courses, elementary, ended up at high school, and now as a high school administrator. And my deep passion for education and technology calls me to pretty much pursue a PhD, which I am in my dissertation portion of that in educational technology leadership. And from that, I got the opportunity through Dr. Mac to see that I can use what I was researching within my program in various parts of technology and education. But the one key thing that I really want to share through Dr. Mac's project is gamification and AR integration. And so that's how I got to this point where I am so honored to be on.
Well, we're glad to have you here, of course. Now, of course, there's a lot of buzz around gamification and immersive learning for students. And so why do you believe that these tools could or are essential for our students and the future of education?
These tools are definitely essential for the future of education. We know that our children are born engineers. They are so advanced when it comes to various aspects of technology. Many times what we find and what I have found is that students may be a little bit more advanced in different areas of technology than their actual teacher. So they're constantly inundated, and they're also on these different platforms while they're at home. From PlayStations, Xboxes, now, Twitch and different aspects that they on YouTube. I had many students that had their own YouTube channels. They were making their own small business from TikTok and things of that sort. So we have to, as educators, we have to use our classrooms as an extension learning for our students, and also being able to engage them. And I have found within my practice is that hands-on gamification and different aspects of it, integrating it into the instruction has pretty much lifted student engagement and student excitement into different and various aspects of content areas.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's really important to you hit on one key things that our students are already immersed in so many different aspects of technology. Like the fact that they're creating their own YouTube channel. Like I have my own child who's 9 years old right now. She's doing her TikToks and creating her channel. She's on Canva,
Yes,
designing different things, and so it's really important for us to really reimagine what experience we're giving our students in a classroom setting. And I think gamification lends itself, of course, immersive learning lends itself to really engaging our students in so many different ways because their attention is being pulled already with the access that they have to technology just at their fingertips or their phones or their tablets already. So yeah, I love that you said
exactly.
to pull it in. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I found is that um you know, when it comes to, especially within high school, when it comes to those in more advanced computer science classes, you have to be on that cutting edge with the students because they're looking for more. And you also, as myself, as a high school administrator, you want to prepare them for college and career readiness. So it's vital that we are just at the cusp of introducing them and also being able to give them that foundation that they're able to springboard into their college and career readiness, whatever it may be, whether it be a gap
Right.
year that they're starting their own business, or whether it be that they go on to university or even the military, is what many times I share with different educators, that making sure that we have that within our instructional practices, that we're looking ahead and moving forward, because we are lifelong learners. At least we should
Right.
be.
Yes, we definitely should be always learning, right? And so,
Yes,
gamification is more than just about games, right? It's about engagement and engaging our students into opportunities and getting
exactly.
their interest in, right? And so it helps with motivating and helping support different learning outcomes for students. And so, can you share some ways that educators can integrate gamification into their classrooms?
Oh, sure. So I thought back to even my own experience. When we were, at least when I was in high school, we had to take typing. Okay. And it was, I did not like it at all because it was so boring. Learn your home keys and make sure it was no. And by me being very competitive in sports and always looking as well as my friends, it was very boring. However, what's ironic is that, of course, I went into computer science. Now, fast forward to me being a college and being a pretty much a CTE computer science educator. Those are things that they needed to know. So they needed to know pretty much, I thought, in order to not get frustrated when they're coding and programming, that they know home keys, and that, different things with on the keyboard. So I pretty much looked at, okay, what can I use because I know I did not want it to be so boring as I had. So I knew that many times students are interested in badges and that competition and things of that sort.
Yes, yes.
So just to make a little plug, typing.com, for instance, is a great resource. And there's definitely different ones that are out there that was used and that you could use. And they have pretty much badge things. So the students, the higher they get, the more words they're able to type per minute and things of that sort. It gives them different badges and they're able to compete against, their classmates and see a leaderboard. All those
Right.
things are a part of that gamification type of instruction. So, there are definitely different ones out there that help students with studying for quizzes or studying for material,
Right.
leaderboards, and gives them badges and things of that sort. Um, and it challenges, and also it gives them opportunity to work at home. So it's not just constraint to being in the classroom, but they're able to log on online while they're, you know programming or whatever they're doing on YouTube at home. But they're also able to do, assignment that you have, placed it. So gamification, it has more opportunities. It's not just about, many times the misunderstanding is that, oh, it's about games, playing games. No, it's totally not about that. It's we have to look at it from a student lens and see what captivates them to learn and be engaged in their own education. I'm very strong about empowerment to our students. So gamification is definitely a way to empower students that I may not be that well at this point of whatever the skill may be. But look, I'm able to work up towards it, and they're able to get that real time
Right.
feedback as
Yes, that was I was going to say that. Yes, real time feedback.
exactly. So they don't have to wait until you grade something.
Yeah, I love that because, although we think of it as games and games, kids can't learn, but of course they can because they can see where they are in their progress. They can see how they are doing in comparison to their peers. And then of course there's always that friendly competition piece where you want to be the best at, whatever it is that you're doing. So you get competitive and you get more engaged. So it definitely helps with the motivation in the class to perform a little
Yes,
bit better. But I love the fact that you talked about instant or real feedback because it does give them feedback. And a lot of times, students are receiving information from their teachers, and a lot of times, it's not a lot of feedback given to them. And I love that we can leverage technology to really give them that instant feedback in time and immersify them into the learning process. And so,
exactly.
yeah. And so let's talk about AR. So AR, VR, and for those of you who may not know, we're talking about augmented reality or virtual reality. And they can bring learning definitely to life in so many ways that traditional education just cannot do. And so, what are some ways that AR, VR can be used to enhance student learning as well?
I'm glad you asked. AR VR is one of my I'm very fascinated by, and I feel very privileged to be an educator in this time of in history. That AR VR, instead of your regular biology class that you or are, or that a student is able to um, see 2D. Okay, so two-dimensional on the paper or on the video or on an overhead projector, they may see the heart. You're looking at the heart and the chambers in the heart and studying those things in biology, whether it be a human or animal. Well, with AR, VR, augmented reality or virtual reality, it's 3D. So it comes off the page by using particular glasses or goggles, as they call them, whatever they may be. Some of the goggles are just like this small, and some of them are that you're able that come with different programs that they even look like scientific goggles. However, students are able to use it and actually uh, it comes on a screen, so it's at different levels within the 3D, and they're able
Right.
to look at that heart that they may see 2D, and it's able to come off, or it appears that it's coming off the screen right there in their faces, and that they're able to use 360 degrees and look at different aspects of that 3D heart that's coming off, or whatever it may be. But I have found that we have used it as a means for CTE with career and technical education, particularly in health sciences. There's multiple content areas that AR, VR can be used in. Definitely, it can be used as something as, and the kids even use it at home. My son, he even has it all over his room that he's able to use the goggles, and he has things that are tied onto his wrists, and they're able to be in this virtual reality world playing different games. So they're doing this already at
Right.
home. I mean, many times parents are buying it for Christmas presents. So when they come to class, I mean, why not? I mean, they're already advanced doing AR, VR games and all in a different type of metaverse and all these different things. But in the classroom during instruction, it's able to just be a huge tool And it can be intimidating for educators, of
Yeah.
course. And we'll talk more about that as we get into it.
Yeah, I love that because one thing we're talking about is creating meaningful learning in the classroom. And what I love about what augmented reality and virtual reality can do is really create these opportunities that students may not have access to. You talked about the heart, being able to just dissect or pull apart and understand key pieces right in front of them makes it so much engaging than versus looking at an image inside of a textbook that's just labeled. Or a lot of times, it's like, well, label the cell here, or do this part. And it's so hard to really engage and understand the functions of some of the pieces that may be labeled. But when you have access to an augmented reality, whether you're using a cell phone or a goggles or whatever the case, the kids are able to manipulate and really
Yes.
help uh, deepen their learning and really engage in the process. And so, we see these games out here like Quest and different things, or Class VR, who
Yes.
has these headsets where you can get immersed into the environment. You can now go explore landscapes,
Yes.
terrain, other geographies outside of your backyard. And a lot of our students aren't always exposed to these experiences.
Yes.
And so I think it really gives them the opportunity to have access and really break down the walls of the classroom to really extend learning beyond your wildest dreams and really can dare to imagine.
Well,
I remember I had a guest one time. She shared that at her school that she supports in STEM, they studied like the terrain for wheelchairs, and they had to really immerse themselves. They were designing the equipment for people who may be in need to do that, but they were able to explore the terrain through the Class
exactly.
VR headsets, and so it just really is a game changer
It is.
in so many ways. Yeah,
It
so many
is.
ways.
It is. And we use pretty much in establishing our makerspace laboratory. That was one of the things that we definitely had. Just like having multiple 3D printers, we had to have that AR VR Z Space uh, machine that we use. And yeah, we still it's huge.
Right. Well, in your chapter, you talk about Cotter's 8-step change model, which, some people may not know what that is, but there are a lot of frameworks and models that we can think through when we're trying to put change into innovation or building culture. And so, can you share with us or walk us through, like, how does Cotter's 8 steps change model really support like successful integration of gamification or AR, VR in schools?
Yes, yes. Doing my research, and it's still ongoing. Um, Cotter's model was one of the change models that I have found to really support my research in how to integrate gamification or AR VR within a school community. So, looking at the 8 steps, so like the first step, I kind of summarized it to be establishing a sense of urgency. This pretty much is leaders communicating the benefits of it, AR, VR, such as, improve student engagement, things of that sort. Going on to the next step, which is step 2, creating a guiding coalition. So involving like key stakeholders and administrators, and including, teachers and of course students, but creating that coalition as a sort. And then going into 3 with developing a vision and a strategy to how to articulate articulate it to the school broader audience, and what are the goals of improving those students achievement through using these different tools, such as gamification and AR/VR. 4 is communicating the change and a vision. So communication is key, and that supports developing that vision and that strategy. And then moving on to 5, empowering broad-based action. So looking at teachers, given our teachers autonomy to experiment with the new technologies that's out there, and as leaders, which is part of my chapters, we're always talking about transformational leadership. but it's key to give our educators that opportunity so that they can, of course, practice and use it and remove any barriers to technology adoption. Moving to 6, generating short-term wins. Celebrating those quick wins, such as pilot programs and increasing student engagement through the lessons, possibly a pre and a post to see how those things can be incorporated within the classroom. But at first, definitely helping educators to use those things. And then 7, consolidating gains and producing more change. Leaders should leverage the early successes of it and deepen the integration, expanding those tools across different subjects and possibly grade levels. And then finally, 8, anchoring new approaches in the future. So leaders, those can help the school culture by having professional development, classroom practices, and as I mentioned before, like student assessments for that. So Cotter's model was within my research has been, it lends itself to what I believe would be a solid foundation.
I like that you shared that because a lot of times I see schools invest in technology. They say, oh, this is the coolest, latest, greatest thing. We need to have this. But there's oftentimes not an intentional implementation plan where you are measuring the success, getting feedback to kind of move the needle for adoption. Because although something may be the latest, greatest, or a great idea for students to do, your implementation may not be as effective on the learning
Exactly.
environment if you're not intentional about how you're implementing it. And a lot of times we don't maximize school dollar funds we're using to invest into technology, not because the technology isn't a great tool to have. It's just that, we throw things at teachers, but we don't have an intentional space. And so Cotter's 8-step change model can definitely support school leaders or district leaders who are looking to implement innovative solutions into their district. And so I've seen so many times that, and teachers get tired of this too. They'll have like, we have this year, and then next year is something else, and then this year is something else, and it's like, come on, guys, be intentional about how we're implementing
Exactly.
these pieces, and maybe, like you said, do a pilot here, get some feedback, get your student voice in. Student voice is so important in their own learning experiences, and I think it's a disadvantage when we don't hear from them and we kind of just lean in our own uncomfortabilities into the classroom, and we don't really create those opportunities. But try it out, see how it goes, and fail forward. If it doesn't work,
Yes.
great, or students are not, like, sometimes I think people expect magic to happen when they introduce technology into the classroom, like it's going to magically change student behavior. No, you have to coach them into, leveraging these tools and setting the expectations just like you do for any classroom when you're starting the school year. So I love that you shared a framework that can really support our leaders in leading change and create a culture around things that can work, but create that culture across the school or across their district. So I love
Yes.
that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, yeah. So let's get to challenges now. So, what are some common challenges that teachers, school leaders, or anyone is really looking to implement, gamification or AR or VR into their school system? And like, what are the challenges that they face, and like, how can they overcome them?
Great question. Um, I have found that a big challenge is pretty much buy-in from stakeholders, um, from prior experiences or own personal um, comfortability. Also looking at prior experience when it comes to sustainability. Will this last? Will this actually? How would this actually help? Or increase student achievement. So some of the challenges many times are just from our own as adults or as leaders,
Right.
and not so much the students, of our own experiences. You brought up a huge key point is student agency, and getting that feedback from the students. It is vital to have a pre assessment And it doesn't have to be a heavy lift.
Right.
Because many times if you don't get that from students and they're in student voice, then it's like preaching to the choir sometime, because you will have some students in there like, oh, okay, this, not interested, or um it becomes challenging. It can become
Right.
challenging. It definitely. But those are some of the challenges that we have seen within our research. It's major with the stakeholders,
Mhm.
and the buy-in, um, and as I mentioned before, the huge thing is that professional development, giving stakeholders the opportunity to plug and play, you know, um, before it's placed in front of their students.
Yeah, I love that. That way they can explore and kind of think through some of the challenges and think through some of the steps that it would take to implement with their students as they get to know them. And so I love that. Okay, well, I love that. So if there was one key action or takeaway that you could share with educators today about incorporating gamification or augmented reality or virtual reality into their classrooms or into their school districts, what would it be?
One key takeaway that I would suggest is to read the 5 tips to support implementation in Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is on page 107. So, a huge takeaway, you have 5 awesome tips. Yes, exactly. 5 awesome tips here. And it will definitely support everything you need to get started.
Oh, I love that. So what she's saying, everyone, is that you need to go get your copy of Get Your Tech Together, and check out the tips at the end of the chapters that kind of help with supporting those who are looking to make an impact into their school system or their school district. And so, Tasha, can you share with listeners, like, to connect with you? How can they get in touch with you to learn more about the work that you're doing?
Sure. I am I have LinkedIn. Definitely hit me up on LinkedIn. Also X, or formerly Twitter. So
Mhm.
at T Scott Hend, TSOTTHEND.
All right. So
Also,
you guys. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You got also
also
yes.
just one last website is at the same website, www.tscotthindweebly.com. Thanks,
All
Dr.
right. So
Vic.
oh, you are most certainly welcome. And so I'm so excited to have you here. And so I'm hoping for those who are tuning in to go back and play this and also get your copy of Get Your Tech Together so you can learn about how you can rethink school culture in your school, in your school district, and really make an impact. And so today we talked about how we can lead the charge with gamification and augmented reality and virtual reality. And so I'm so honored to have you on today, Tasha. So thank you again for sharing your expertise and on immersive learning. And your insights really make it clear that these tools are not just trends. These are essential and game changers for student engagement, student motivation, and just getting our students really used to and acclimated to their own experiences every day that they use with technology. And it's really important for us to start leveraging these technologies into classrooms and rethinking and redefining what their experiences are within class. And so I love that. And so, for those of you who are listening again, if you want to explore how gamification and AR, VR can transform your education, don't forget to get a copy of our book, Get Your Tech Together, Rethinking School Culture in a Digital Age. She's already shared her chapter 8, which is talking more about our topic today. And so, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Get Your Tech Together on the Tech It Up Talk podcast, where we explore how we level up learning with technology. And so, until next time, keep innovating, keep inspiring, and keep leading with tech. And so I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you soon.